All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the Rising Seniors FBLA Officer Candidates Town Hall. As mentioned before, this is a way for our FBLA members to see what the candidates have to say about their campaigns. To explain how this town hall will work, we will be asking a series of questions. Some of them will be to all of the candidates, and some of them will be to certain candidates. Please keep your answers to a limit of 1 minute. We will cut you off, so please don't go over. And I guess we can go ahead and start off with introductions. Xiaomin, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, of course. So, hi, my name is Xiaomin Qi, and I'm running to be a senior officer next year for FBLA. And some things that I like to do in my free time are drawing, just reading sometimes, and also looking at stock market stuff. In general, I think my FBLA experience has been very sufficient, and I've been a member since my freshman year of high school, and I'm super excited to be serving as an officer once again this upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear from Vedant?
All right. Hey guys, my name is Vedant Naik. I'm going to be running to be a senior officer next year. I've been a part of FBLA for about 5 years now, going on 6, and I've been an FBLA officer for the past 3. I've had a great time every single year, and this past year, I had the honor of serving on the service committee, which was a great time, and I got to see firsthand how the student power of FBLA and there's 500 members can impact the school and the community, and I've participated in all the conferences, all of what FBLA has to offer, and I've had a great time doing it. So yeah.
Thank you. Can we hear from Sophia next?
Hey y'all, I'm Sophia. This is gonna be my 4th year of FBLA, and I've been an officer for the past 3. And in my free time, I like to talk to people and I play tennis. And I have had the most fun being a media officer this year. Had to carry the little camera around with Kevin, and I really fell in love with it. So that's what I'm going for again this year. And yeah, I hope to see y'all tomorrow.
Thank you. Can we hear from Parav?
Hey guys, my name is Purav Karnavad. Of course, I'm applying for a rising senior officer position at FBLA. My journey started in the 9th grade when I joined FBLA. And really for me, it was especially not necessarily the competitions, but also like the community service aspect to it too. Going to 10th grade, I had the ability to launch the hand sanitizer and face mask drive, where we got a lot of donations, which was great from many FBLA members. And coming into 10th and 11th grade, I had the opportunity to compete in multiple SLC events, which gave me the ability to go to this year's NLC. So for me, FBLA has been an amazing journey, both on the competitive events side and as well as the community impact.
Thank you. Can we hear from Hunming?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Henming Sun, and I'm applying again, like the others, for FBLA senior officer. I've been in FBLA for all of my high school years and been an officer for 2 years. Last year was last year I was a media officer, and similar to Sophia, media team, best team, but it was basically one of my best years in FBLA itself, like posting Instagram stories and like making new posts and like basically advertising everything that we do really helps me feel connected with the entire chapter and like all of the events that we do within Lambert FBLA. And more so like outside of that specifically, I feel like Lambert FBLA has like shaped me into a better person with like the amount of competitions, the amount of networking that you do in SLC and RLC and NLC.
Thank you. Can we hear from Manchit?
Hey everyone, so I'm Manjit Singh and I'm also applying to be an FBLA officer as a rising senior. So my FBLA journey started in 7th grade. I've been doing competitive events and a bunch of like community service projects and stuff in middle school, and I've contributed a lot in high school. So some things I like to do in my free time include playing sports a lot, and I love playing tabla. It's an instrument, it's an Indian instrument, and FBLA has really helped me actually choose my major. And because I came in high school thinking I was going to do CS, but FBLA doing it like all the events, including like spreadsheet applications, business financial planning, it really helped me really look at everything that business has to offer in the real world. And like a little personally, like it has helped me develop like leadership skills and just collaborate with other people. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. And lastly, can we hear from Manan?
Hi, my name is Monan Singh, and I've been in FBLA for 5 years. This is my 5th year. Next year is going to be the sixth. And I've competed at SOC 4 times, and I've loved every experience because I love meeting people and talking to them. And my favorite part is when I meet somebody at FBLA and I see them outside of FBLA, which actually happens a lot. And I think it's really cool. In my free time, I love to play basketball. Uh, I love to cook, and I like to go to the gym with Vedant. And I think that FBLA has like taken me a lot of places and made me make a lot of friends. And one of those Vedant too, because like now we're gym buddies and we met through FBLA. And I hope to be an officer next year so I can be more involved and connected in the community.
Thank you. So we're going to dive right in. One of the problems that our chapter faced this year was the problem of recruiting senior members because, I don't know, senioritis, whatever, they don't want to join. So what is your plan to increase senior membership next year? Can we hear from Parav?
So going into senior year, right, it's going to be the environment where a lot of people get senioritis real quick. And I think the best way to really help senior members joining is focusing on the problems that they have in terms of maybe some of the extracurricular activities, right? And a lot of seniors, they want to get involved in community service. They want community service hours. And I think the best way to get senior members to join is to really implement more and more community service drives. With my past experiences with the hand sanitizer and face mask drive, if we can get more such service drives like this, give 3 hours based on this many donations, gives 4 hours on this many donations, it can really make senior members join and get the community service hours they may need for college or some achievement of some that sort. So really focusing on the things that they're lacking in, which might be community service hours, I believe that is one of the best ways to get more senior members to join.
Thank you. Can we hear from Sophia?
Hey, so I think what I would really do, aside from the kind of promoting the whole cord and everything you can get from NTHS and everything, I really want to do some more like senior focused events, especially in the morning when there's more seniors there. I feel like if we had things that were like maybe open to just seniors, like, hey, like, we'll have this workshop with like this employer or this private speaker come in, but it's senior priority only because like, oh, like maybe he's gonna like he has time to like maybe talk to you about your resume or stuff like that. Things that would really pique interest with what people at Lambert are as seniors really working on.
Thank you. Can we hear from Xiaomin?
Yeah, so some of my plans for senior membership would of course be to promote like BAAs, and like you can get recognition at the end of the year for that, as well as NTHS, you can get a cord for that. Not only that, but I feel like since a lot of these individuals have probably already applied for college by their second semester, having these college workshops saying like, hey, this is what you need to do when you get into college. Like, this is how college works. Because I feel like once somebody applies to college, like that kind of feels like just it, but I feel like there should be a little bit more to that in terms of that process. So I feel like FBLA can really provide that next step and say like, hey, in college, here's some business opportunities that you can go for. Here's some like, internships that you could potentially like look into. How do you get an internship in college and stuff like that? Because the process might be a little bit different, but yeah, that's my proposition.
Thank you. Can we hear from Manan next?
So I think that a lot of people going into senior year, and myself, like we lose a lot of motivation, especially for the second half of senior year. We see like building our college applications and that stuff. So, for example, for a senior who's going into, for a person who's going into their senior year, and they don't think that their FBLA competition is going to matter because that's going to be the second half, and they only want it for the college applications, they might not do it because of that. So I think in order to get those members to stay in FBLA, a good idea would be to like incorporate things and teach them that Lambert FBLA isn't just until high school. It will benefit them until after college and throughout college. And if we're able to do this, then we'll be able to show these students that they don't need FBLA just to build their resumes, and they can use FBLA to better their lives. And also another thing that could Lambert FBLA could implement is a scholarship that Lambert FBLA provides to their members in order for them to benefit through college. And this would encourage more senior members to stay in the club.
Thank you. Next, can we hear from Manjeet?
Yeah, so for seniors coming in, I think one thing you mentioned was senioritis that hits really early. So one thing they all want to care that they care about is hanging out with friends. So I think, like a lot of the people said, a lot of senior focused ideas would be best, but including that, I think socials would be a lot better for them because they can do hangout, like they can hang out with friends at first, make new friends, like in towards the beginning of the year. Going later on the year, we can introduce them to more events. So I think starting off with more socials would be the best option for them.
Thank you. Next, can we hear from Hanming?
Yeah, sure. So I guess since everybody's touched on a lot of stuff, I think one area that isn't really touched on is more specifically like the competition and more and the experience aspect from it. Because especially after SLC, I know like everybody was like really hyped there, especially like opening and closing ceremony. I think it was like a really enjoyable experience for everybody, just all around from every single grade. And I think to emphasize the experience itself, because after high school, you will basically never have like that similar experience ever again. So I think you can like present as like kind of like a once in a lifetime opportunity in a sense, or like a last chance opportunity. It's similar to like, for example, like prom in a case where like if you didn't go 11th grade, 12th grade might be like your last year. So that could be some kind of incentive.
Thank you. And then can we hear from Vedant?
Yeah. So I think all the candidates highlighted are really like some really strong points, but I really like what Mona and Sophia said. So I think the biggest problem when like the senior participation starts to die down is definitely because of senioritis, because after the first semester, like a lot of people use FBLA as like an extracurricular that they can put on their college apps, but after semester one's done, I mean, most of the people have like the process is over for them. So with second semester, I think we should focus on like since that's going to be the last time that they're going to see all their high school friends together, focus heavily on like socials, um and like just a place where the seniors can have fun, maybe like have a senior celebration at the end of the year. But that's something for the end of the year. But throughout the year, I think we should also do some more individual recognition, and this one work not only just for the seniors, but I mean for like the rest of the chapter as well, because what I saw, like we did this clothing drive at the end of the year, and obviously we offer member points uh if they like participate in it, and those member points go to like being an officer or whatever. And
That's time.
Thank you, Vedant. And now we will be moving on to another question. So which committee do you hope to represent, and what do you hope to accomplish as an officer, and how do you hope to achieve that? Can we hear from anyone? Want to go first? Oh, I'll just put it out there. Okay, Xiaomin, perfect.
Yeah, so the committee that I'm most interested in joining next year is a committee that I have served this previous year, which is membership, and I love membership. Membership's great. So membership, what we've done in the past is work on workshops, especially competitive workshops, but I feel like this upcoming year, we should start that a little bit earlier, especially like just gaining more of that hype for competition, because we do want members to become even more engaged with an FBLA rather than just like be in it and not do anything about it. I think another interesting thing to put out there is just new recruitment strategies for membership, maybe like regular like seminars in the morning. You can go to specific like classrooms, not just at the beginning of the year, but like mid-year, and say like, hey, we just want to talk about what FBLA is doing at the moment. We can talk about like a current service thing that we're doing, or current like challenge or competition that's happening at the moment, and then encourage people to join mid-year, not just at the beginning or towards, you know, chapter of the year stuff. But that's my plan.
Thank you. Can we hear from Vedant?
Yeah, so I said that I wanted to be part of the service committee again this year, as I was a part of it last year. I had the firsthand experience of like, say, trunk or treat. I was able to see the smiles on all the kids' faces, and it showed that from the work that we put in, we were able to have an impact on the whole community. And not just that, but I think Darshan remembers, and I think I'm not sure if you were there or not, Boomy, but oh yeah, you were there. When we went and delivered all those like 2,000 cans to the Forsyth County, I think it was a shelter, and just unloading all those cans and seeing that like just the 1, 2, 3, the 10 cans that one student brought all cumulative came together to be the 2,000 that goes inside the food bank and helps like hundreds of people throughout our community. So it's just that like I want to be a part of that again, and I want to lead it this time, and add some new things, and just yeah, I had a great experience and I want to do that again. So
thank you. And I see that Tammy just joined, so we can give her a little bit to get situated. Sophia, do you want to go ahead and answer?
Yeah, sure. So I would love to be part of Media Committee again. I think there's something really special about being able to capture all the fun moments that everyone is having, especially after looking back as we're trying to make all the posts and the slideshows and just getting to laugh about like every single moment that we can remember. And I really loved making all the Instagram posts this year, getting like all the things ready for the Instagram stories, making sure that everyone's kind of getting involved, trying to feature as many people as possible. And I love that media team gets to really center the rest of the population's like attention towards what FBLA is really doing. And I would love to help frame that again.
Thank you. Can we hear from Hunming next?
Yeah, sure. So again, similar to Sophia, I want to be a part of the media team again, because of how like I think out of all the committees, I think media team really focuses on the people and like connects with all of the FBLA members the best. And I think this year we did a pretty good job, like having over like 500 members this year. So I think we'll in this case next year we want to do a similar thing in which we continue to like create more FBLA posts, create more engaging like Instagram posts, and create more like engaging stories themselves to increase membership. And like it's also like every single time like we create a new post, it's like the amounts of the creativity in creating it in the first place is like really exciting and really fun to me, especially like trying new things out on Canva and stuff like that. But yeah.
Thank you. Can we hear from Manan?
This year, I would be most interested in being part of the competitive events committee because, as many of you guys know, being on stage is a magical feeling, and that's like an irreplaceable feeling. And it would be great if as many as possible FBLA members could experience that feeling. And along with this, other than the conventional competitive events, I think there's a lot more things that we could integrate into the Lambert FBLA chapter. So this year, there was an integration of certain other competitive events. They weren't that connected with FBLA, but they were still brought in through FBLA, which I competed in, and they were very interesting. And I think Xiaomin too, we made it to the finalist round of like the Diamond Challenge and the Conrad Challenge. We made it very far up. And I think that if more Lambert members knew about this, they would do it as well. And I think it's a great opportunity. So I hope as being a part of the competitive events committee, I can bring more events such as this and competitions like this into the Lambert FBLA.
Thank you. Can we hear from Parav?
Yeah, for sure. The event that I'm most interested in is the Service Projects Committee, community service. And this really boils down to the things that I've been able to do in the past in terms of community service. As mentioned before, implementing that hand sanitizer and face mask drive, just the steps it takes in order to implement a drive successfully, do it, get the donations, and give it to the desired place. I believe that the people that I've worked with, the relationships that I've built, I can work in an effective manner with the future senior officer team to implement many other community service events. And one thing that I really want to implement is that I want a normal FBLA member to have the ability to implement a community service project of their own. This means that there needs to be some sort of formulated procedure that we will create so a normal community service member has the ability to implement some sort of drive that they would like. For me, I had the opportunity to have Mr. Ware as a teacher, so I could work with him in class in some of the time in order to develop this drive. However, many other FBLA members may not have any other FBLA advisor as a teacher. So bringing that to the FBLA member really
That's time.
that. Yeah.
Thank you. And then can we hear from Manshi?
Yeah, so the committee I applied to was the competitive events committee. And it's just because competitive events, they have impacted me in choosing my majors so much that I think it would be perfect for me. And then I talked to Mr. Ware too, and the organization that it takes for the competitive events committee with all the Excel sheets and spreadsheets, and I've competed in spreadsheets. So I have those skills. I have that skill set. And an idea I had was to set up like some tutoring service where if a senior has been doing like a same event like business financial plan for 2 years, they could help the underclassmen and help them out with that event and just guide them through it and just share their experiences.
Thank you. And Tammy, I know you joined a little bit late, but that's okay. Right now we're just answering if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and then talk about which committee you want to be on and what you hope to accomplish as an officer.
I'm Tammy Vu, and the committee that I applied to be in is a competitive committee. One of the things I wanted to help implement is increase the opportunities, resources that we have for testing. I know that especially this year, testing, like objective tests have been doing worse. Like less people have gotten to NLC compared to previous years. And I want to help help with this through creating study groups. Rather than just having the resources, I think having these study groups will help increase involvement and also help introduce members to each other as well. And also kind of keep members in check with one another to keep studying, because personally, I know it's kind of hard to study for these objective tests. And that's pretty much what I'm going to help accomplish.
Thank you. Next question. What do you believe our biggest challenge that our local chapter FBLA has, and how do you plan to address them? Does anyone want to go first for this one? Han Ming, great.
Yeah, sure. So especially since we hit the 500 member mark last year, I think the biggest challenge is obviously communication. And especially this year, because we switched to Slack for the first time, it's very difficult to make that transition. I think most people, like in the very end, like we still ended up using GroupMe instead of using Slack. So like that was kind of an inconvenience for people who like have to technically download two different software applications. And it's difficult where there's like multiple information, like so, for example, like some information specifically on the Slack, for example, like the town hall ID for tonight. So like it might be difficult for some of the members to access it. One way I'm trying to solve this problem, I guess, is by saying is that first we want to like again slowly integrate into Slack specifically. I think it still takes a couple years for that to like be implemented for people to get used to it. But second, to make that integration easier, you can include like the important information on GroupMe because most people use it, but most of the other information can be on the Slack itself.
Thank you. Can we hear from Manan?
I think one of the biggest challenges Lambert FBLA is facing right now is setting ourselves different from all the other chapters. Although Lambert FBLA is doing great, as Vedant and I developed the chapter annual business report, so we know like all the statistics of what Lambert FBLA has done. They're doing great. However, it's not anything too unique. Lambert FBLA is only one chapter of the year once, which is still great, but we hope to win it a lot of times in the future. And this year we got second, which is also wonderful, but next year I hope to see that we can get first. So I think that the biggest block that we're having is doing the same things as all the other schools. Although we're doing them at a large scale just like them, it's not anything different. So I think that the best way to solve this issue would be this following year we come up with something completely different and do that and focus on it and make it a big part of our culture. And I think that there's several ways we could do this. It'll take a lot of brainstorming among the officers because it's not an easy decision. And it's not like what one person like decides that everyone has to be on board. But I think that if we're able to solve this issue and get past it.
That's time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear from Manchet?
Yeah, like Han Ming said, I think one of the main problems or one of the challenges that Lambert FBLA facing is communication. And one of those example was the BAA. I know I talked to Mr. Ware and he said that they created a new system for BAs and all those levels. But I think we have 500 members in our chapter and only I think 60 or 70 people completed that. And I think that was also mainly because of FBLA officer applications. And then we want to finish those off because it was a requirement and just to check that off. I think that was because of, I know they're going around in CSA classes and telling people that, oh, you should finish these, but I'm going to be honest, in CSA, when someone tells us half the people are like playing chess or something on the side, when they could be doing BAs, but it's just the communication and the incentive that's lacking. And I think that comes with a lot of communication, and I think we need one platform. And Slack, I didn't know about it till further on, and I don't think I kept along with it either. So I think GroupMe and its learning are the best options for communications. But yeah, I think that's what we can improve on.
Thank you. Can we hear from Tammy?
I think that currently FBLA is such a big chapter for Lambert at least, And I think that one problem that we're kind of facing is with interactions between members. I know that we have like the ice cream social and like some social events at the beginning of the year, but I think we could also add some more events throughout the year to continue that involvement. And like I mentioned earlier with like study groups, I feel like we can help, like members can help keep each other accountable for these testing events and kind of compete with each other as well. We can we can increase our involvement with testing and overall just have a more closer community with FBLA.
Thank you. Can we hear from Vedant next?
Yeah, all right. So I was going to highlight communication, the communication aspect, but I think Hunming did a really good job at doing that. So I'm going to highlight a future challenge that our chapter faces every year, which is freshman recruitment. And obviously for that, I think the number one solution is to have a strong freshman officer team. And then on top of that, I think we should also, like we visited South Forsyth, we visited RMS this year, but I think we should go earlier in the year, like maybe like at their open house, so we can show them that their journey in FBLA doesn't just stop at middle school, but it continues through high school. So maybe at open house, we could join their officer team and tell them, hey, we're from Lambert, and we'll tell them what's different about Lambert FBLA, and just show them that their journey doesn't stop, but it continues. And that would increase our membership. And yeah, that's one of the biggest problems that we face every year, and it's a reoccurring issue. So I think if we have a good, strong idea of what to do about that, then that'll help for like years to come, if we have a plan for that. So yeah.
Thank you. Can we hear from Xiaomin next?
Yeah, of course. So I feel like member engagement is mainly in like RLC, NLC, SLC, but I feel like there should be more member engagement in CSAs, BAAs, and like outside competitions like the Social Innovation Challenge, which is affiliated with FBLA, and the Virtual Business Challenge. I feel like promoting more of those, especially in having more like often chapter meetings, especially later in the year, I feel like talking more about that would be a really interesting way to get members more involved. And second is just general membership increase. Like we did hit like a really high number of 500 this year, but I feel like having more like unique recruitment strategies and doing like continuing the discounted membership thing that we did later this year would be a great solution to increase membership, as well as potentially getting like collegiate members of FBLA to come talk about their experience being an FBLA and how it was in high school for them, and just kind of promoting increased engagement and increased membership.
Thank you. Can we hear from Parav next?
Definitely. The main problem that would be in FBLA for me is there are considered what I call high times and what are considered called low times. So what that means is usually at the beginning of the year, during when RLC starts later in the first semester and SLC is in March. FBLA is going strong in everything. There's a lot of different events. There's a lot of different preparation for the competitive events, different community service drives. But I feel after SLC, sort of FBLA comes on a low when there is not much activities or events that are going on. And what happens after this period of time is FBLA members sort of get disengaged. They focus on other things. And the key issue that I would like to solve if I have the opportunity to serve as an officer is I want to bring some sort of activities during this time period between March to April. Like mentioned before, if we can implement a different community service drives and different socials, I know we didn't have an ice cream social this year, but having these different initiatives just so like FBLA members stay connected, they're on top of each other, they know what's discussing, then we can really keep FBLA going strong after March, after April.
That's time.
Thank you. And then lastly, Sophia.
I think our biggest issue is definitely member engagement and member participation. Having upwards of 500 members, but we often, when it comes to chapter meetings, it's like a struggle to get enough people to come. And I think at the end of the day, the best way to fix that is mandating meetings, especially for competitors, which I know we did try this year. So what I really want to do this following year is for like, say it's everyone we're taking to SLC, we have a competitor breakfast. So where everyone is just kind of talking to each other, making things a little bit more intimate so that not everybody is like sticking in their own little tribes when it comes to actual SLC or actual club meetings or events overall. I also hope that there can be more member involvement during those meetings. I know that some people will struggle with finding, say, like group partners when it comes to some SLC team events. And I think like maybe if you need a partner, like pitch it at a meeting and like instantly you have people that are maybe interested in doing the same thing. And ultimately, I think giving members more opportunities to just kind of like have a say in the meeting.
Thank you. So a couple of you have mentioned chapter of the year. If you're not sure what that is, it is a big award that we try to get every year. We got it, I think, 2 years ago, but we've gotten second for the past 2 years. And we're trying to fix that. We're trying to do as much as we can. So what are your ideas for chapter of the year, and how do you think that we can bring back this victory? Let's start off with Manan.
As I said earlier, Lambert FBLA is doing a lot and we're doing great at it, but every other school is also doing the same thing. And South is also doing the same stuff, and so is um, Denmark and West, all of those schools. So I think one thing that could set us apart is bringing in new competitions and bringing in committees for members to bring their own competitions. I think are great opportunities that allow FBLA members to participate in this and expand their network of communities. One of these examples is something that happened this year, such as the Conrad Challenge, which a lot of members did. However, most members didn't even notice it, or they went just for the pizza, or that they didn't actually care about the opportunity. So I think if we're able to bring more opportunities like this that spark the members' interest and spark their motivation in themselves, this would make Lambert FBLA better than ever before, because it will have so many different opportunities in many different sectors that members can do that can bring them to the highest levels in their fields. There's a lot of big achievements and a lot of recognition that come from these events that could be seen with Lambert FBLA members. And I think that'd be great to see, and that would set us apart and put us on track for another Chapter of the Year award.
Thank you. Can we hear from Hunming?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. So working on the media team last year, and working on like chapter of the year, I think for the majority of the ones we like accomplished basically the majority of like the points required. But two key things that we could, I guess, work on to increase points. First is obviously to work on everything a lot earlier, because you obviously get more points in like a lot more points if you work before the early deadline and turn it in before the early deadline. So the more points we do, or the more activities that we do before that, the more points we get. So that could mean like working and starting it in May, for example. Once like right after the officer team is created, we can already begin working and technically, tell Monty that's the 2023-2024 school year. But also afterwards, I think another key aspect is like the ones where the points multiply after, for example, like BAAs or CSAs, because last year what we did was within the officer team itself, but next year we could like focus on a more bigger member type of style where the members would do BAs and CSAs, which would over stack up because each BAA level would like.
That's time.
Thank you. Can we hear from Vedant?
Yeah, so I think Hanbing did a really good point talking about chapter of the year submission. I think our chapter does a really good job at submitting all the like overarching points, everything that we need to do, all the committees, all of our service projects, all that. I think all that gets really well documented. I think where we lack, and I've seen it like in the past 2 years, not the freshman year, like our freshman year where we won chapter of the year, but the last 2 years, like we keep getting beaten in sweepstakes by schools like Alpharetta, Northview, South. So I think that if we focus on these workshops more, like we did them this year, but the problem that I saw with that is that it was kind of like an open slot and people could sign up. I think if the officer team, or just the officer team, we like reach out to those individual people or those individual teams and say, hey, would you like to come in at this time, so we can account for everyone and make sure that they're a strong team or individual or competitor for their event, so we can score higher and ultimately achieve those points that would help us get chapter of the year. So yeah.
Thank you. Can we hear from Tammy next?
So I think for us to, like Vedant said, we need to increase our sweepstakes. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Senate groups would be a good idea. And I think that we can also begin targeting the freshmen group that is coming in. I know that freshmen are often very motivated to like begin in the beginning of the year, especially with new clubs and whatnot. So we can start early and kind of introduce the idea of competition to them. And as well as introducing kind of overall having better communication with BAAs and CAs, because I feel like there wasn't too much communication going on with that. And also through social media, I feel like that will also help increase involvement in general.
Thank you. Next, can we hear from Parab?
So for me, at least, I think the best way to get member points is something that essentially all members can do, and it's relatively easy to do for them. So I know March of Dimes comes around. There's many different FBLA statewide initiatives as a whole that they tell their chapters to participate in for, right? And really bringing out the word and spreading the initiatives or offering community service hours for things like March of Dimes or different initiatives FBLA has to offer can really help rack up that member points quick. And it's something that all members can accomplish. So really focusing like on a given month in March, this is going to be the FBLA initiative we're going to push. And this is going to be the sole community service drive we may have and really pushing for that. And then maybe in November, if there's a different statewide initiative, focusing on that initiative to get as many community service hours or get as many chapter member points. And the second thing is really getting that freshman recruitment. I think a couple other officers mentioned that is if we can make it a thing where once in 3 or 4 months, we go to the middle school, Settlesbridge, John's Settlesbridge, Riverwatch, that sort of thing to really just highlight.
That's time.
Thank you. Can we hear from Sophia?
I really love what Tammy said about getting the freshmen involved. I think when it comes to improving on our sweepstakes as well as just our BAA levels, I think if we have a meeting at like the beginning of the year, just so we get those early chapter submission points on say like, hey, freshmen, are you interested in becoming an officer? Are you interested to see what you can do in FBLA at a high school level? And kind of seeing like if you want to get a head start and, you know, like make an impact on our organization, make an impact on all the officers, like do your BAA levels, see who can get to contributor, who can do leader, who can do the capstone one the quickest, which even like I as an officer have like not even done. And I think like all of those things that all the motivation that comes with being a freshman should like be really just heavily pushed. I think we haven't done a lot of that on social media as much as we could have. And then I really want to do more chapter meetings. I feel like those have always been really inconsistent. As well as reaching out to non-active members. I feel like guilt tripping them into legitimately doing BAs or CSAs is also kind of effective, just because I feel like they're not expecting.
Thank you. Can we hear from Xiaomin next?
Yeah, so I love the points about BAAs, but one little thing that I would add is that I think a lot of people just don't understand how the platform works. And I think putting out maybe a YouTube video or like some tutorials and stuff like that about how the system actually works, how the platform works, would actually increase the amount of BAA levels really being accomplished and then would therefore increase our chapter points. Not only that, but I think hosting networking events with professionals and guest speakers and really advertising those to like freshman members or like members who just in general want to learn more about business, technology, and more, I think advertising that would really increase the amount of membership that we could get and potentially increase our chapter figure points to help us beat South and other schools.
Thank you. And then Mancha, can we hear from you next?
Yeah, so for chapter of the year, I think it's a combination of what all like everything that's been said. So improving communication, I think public relationships is a huge thing, like going to either middle schools, informing them about like just informing the like rising freshmen about what should they expect and how they should like go on like joining this club. And then another thing that I feel is a good improvement is just chapter management overall. Like I know they said chapter meetings, so I think just involving like member engagement, I think all those factors just will help us reach that goal of getting chapter of the year.
Thank you. So as juniors right now, I'm sure you all are great students and have amazing time management skills, but kind of on the flip side, how do you plan to face senioritis? Because it will hit. So how do you plan to kind of face that? Can we hear from Hunming for this one?
Yeah, sure. More specifically, I think since to combat this specifically, I'll just continue to like be involved in FBLA and try to basically set like basically every single day, every single week, like set aside time for FBLA itself. And also I feel like you don't really have to set time for things that are really fun to you and things that you really enjoy. And especially last year, because I really enjoyed being on the media officer team, it didn't really seem like work to do, but instead it was really like it was really like an activity. It was just like something I could do when I feel like it. It's actually not when I feel like it, but something I do when I like want to have fun, especially. So I think in that case, because I want to always come back to like, for example, making story posts or making posts itself, I think that makes it very easy for me to combat senioritis.
Thank you. Can we hear from Manan next?
So one way I'm thinking of combating senioritis, and I'm also combating like my tired self right now, is that next year I'm only gonna have a 4 period schedule, so I'm gonna get home early, and then I developed a schedule in which, since I also have a 4 period schedule this year, I developed like a way that I can be the most productive while not getting tired, because I procrastinated a lot earlier, like last year. However, this year I changed it because I developed the schedule. So I'm also implement this next year to prevent senioritis. I get home, I take a nap, but I only take a nap for 1 hour, and then I wake up and take a cold shower and then get to work. And I think this has worked for me a lot, and I hope to implement it next year, especially the second semester, so I don't get senioritis. And I also work without my phone and other distractions, which is a method that I think is very effective to get rid of senioritis.
Thank you. So you guys have had a good amount of experience in FBLA. So I wanted to ask, what is one piece of advice that you would give to maybe your younger self or younger members right now? Can we hear from Vedant for this one?
Yeah, I really like this question because I think it applies to me a lot. So I think one piece of advice would definitely be to not take everything you do so seriously, not in that you like don't put in your 100% effort, but I mean don't like stress over it. Like you should have fun in the process. And that's like one thing that helps you grow as a person, because if you're constantly just like thinking about like overthinking about, oh, I did this, or like I shouldn't have done that, it's just you go with the flow, you learn from your mistakes, and you improve yourself as you keep going forward. Because like I think I've changed a lot since like as a freshman when I ran for officer. I was definitely way more nervous. You know, I didn't really know what I was doing. But after like being an officer for the last 3 years, talking like the older officers, you know, just asking questions. I think that's the number one thing about being a leader. Even if you don't know what you're doing, asking questions and communication is the number one thing that teaches you what to do. Um, so yeah, that would be my piece of advice. Like just have fun and grow as a person. Yeah.
Thank you. And then can we hear from Sophia for this one?
I definitely tell myself to enjoy it while it lasts and to just kind of go for it. I think when I was a freshman and a sophomore, I felt like because I was like an underclassman and like I was kind of timid, even though I was still kind of enthusiastic about things. And like I was really scared of the upperclassmen, especially Vinayak and Varun. And I feel like if I could just tell myself that it's not that serious, like just go up and talk to them, like everyone's in the same boat, and just to be more involved. I feel like I didn't appreciate it for what it was, especially as a freshman, the connections that I was able to make with the club back then and with that officer team. So yeah, I tell myself just get more involved and do more.
Thank you. And I'm going to pass on to some of the other senior officers that have a couple questions for you guys.
So I have a question for Vedant. You said that you wanted to do more socials throughout the year. So can you just go into more detail about that? What kind of socials? What are your plans for?
So I know we were talking about it last year, like Mr. Wood was bringing up, like maybe like a 1 day, like an overarching like event that covers a bunch of different aspects of chapter of the year. Like maybe we have a guest speaker, maybe we have like partnership with another school club, all in one, where we like rent out the football, or not rent out, like book the football field or book the auditorium and just have one big day that's like centered around FBLA. So that's like one thing that I would really like to see this year, like my last year at high school, and just have one like big cumulative thing that is really fun and covers a lot of our points, which would, you know, make it seem less like work and more like fun. So that's definitely one. Yeah.
So Manan, question for you. You said you wanted to do things that were different to other schools in terms of events and stuff like that. So what kind of ideas do you have?
So basically, another challenge other than the Conrad challenge that I was thinking of implementing into Lambert was a diamond challenge. Because in Lambert High School, like Lambert FBLA has fellow members that are actually on the board of the Conrad challenge, and that's why they brought it into the Lambert High School like FBLA. However, on Diamond Challenge, there are not that many links, and we can develop these links and incorporate it into Lambert High School's FBLA. And there's also several other challenges like this: essay contests, individual challenges, team innovation challenges, business challenges that are overseen by people. Like, people do them on their own and they don't think to tell others. But if we're able to do them and bring them incorporated and spread the wealth to all the members, that'd be wonderful to see, and it would set us apart from other schools and be totally unique.
All right, thanks both of you.
All right. I have a specific question for Purav. Purav, I think you mentioned about having a specific community service project for the members. Lambert had tried previously implementing this through like Lead for Change, and a lot of members begin projects but were not able to complete it. So what are some ideas that you would have to encourage members to actually complete the projects that they begin?
Definitely. Thank you for bringing up that question. I was actually a member of Lead for Change, which gave me the opportunity to implement the hand sanitizer and face mask drive. And I believe the thing is, there needs to be a certain aligned procedure when implementing a community service drive, outlining specific steps. I know in the past we've had several clothing drives, canned food drives, and I think members have fabulous ideas in terms of different innovative drives to bring up membership recruitment. So the problem I think with Lead for Change at least was that first off, it was hard to get the word out that this was a opportunity, and there was not enough structural procedure to it for really people to reach the end goal. So working with the other senior officers to really bring some sort of way, working with maybe the members working with the senior officers or other officers to develop their community service drive and implementing on the mass level in terms of Lambert FBLA as a whole, I think that would be really beneficial.
All right, thank you. My next question is to Manchit. Manchit, you mentioned that you believe that offering an incentive for completion of BAAs would be beneficial for getting more members to start and complete the BAAs. So just what are some examples of incentives that you think you would offer members to do?
Yeah, so some of them would include, I know we already have the service credit, but personally I didn't know about that. Like, you can get a service credit for a BA. I learned it when I told Mr. Ware I was talking to him. So I think just more, again, on the communication side, talking about that. And then in all the CTAE classes, maybe put that like a little optional like grade at the end of the year, because I know a lot of it can be like, rather than asking your teachers to bump you up, you can do that BAA, so it will benefit FBLA and the person's grade at the same time, and they will actually earn it.
All right, thank you. And now I think Sanjay has a couple more questions.
Yeah, so my first question is for Tammy. I think you mentioned that one of our challenges is social interaction. So my question is, what's an example of a social event that you think we can incorporate next year?
For me, I think that we can do something with kind of like an introductory social event for a beginning, and then we can also do things related to holidays and whatnot. And I feel like that'd be something that's fun in general. And we could also work with kind of like maybe specific things that happen in FBLA, like certain like deadlines and whatnot, and we can kind of have social events around those to kind of bring awareness as well as keeping members involved. So for example, like SSC competitors, you can if you like kind of, it also kind of brings an incentive as well, like you can have socials for like our LC and SSC competitors. And then in general, just having things similar to the ice cream social, I think would be good. I think that we have the socials. I think we just need to have more of them, because like throughout the year, membership involvement kind of diminishes. And I think we can try to keep that up by having multiple.
That's time.
All right, thank you. And my second question is for Xiaomin. So with over 500 members, we know that like not all of them participate in competitive events and do things like BAs that you mentioned before. So what's one thing or many things that you can do to make sure that there's a higher participation amount within our member count?
Yeah, of course. So first for competition, I feel like a lot of members are just intimidated by competition. I don't think a lot of them know how the process works, how to sign up. And I've had members come up to me and ask like, how do I sign up? Or how do I prepare for an objective test? And I feel like putting out more of those resources in a place that's more accessible would be a great option to get members excited and not as intimidated for competition. Having more competitive workshops would be great. And talking more about BAAs with those workshops would be an amazing idea for increased member engagement. I also think maybe having people who've previously done competition come in and maybe do like a mentorship program and say like, hey, we're going to guide you through this process. And this is the specific things that you should do in order to prepare for this specific event. I feel like that would make the whole process less intimidating for members.
Great.
All right, so I think that wraps up this town hall. Thank you guys so much for coming. I know it's a little bit late, but thank you. I loved hearing your responses, and I will see you tomorrow morning at the meet and greet.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Hey
It was
guys.
good talking to everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.